And there are 76 verses in this sarga. Now, what is so, this sarga is anybody who, as I was telling, in any university in this country and I think in the globally also, if there is a course on Ramayana, generally what they do is they pick a few sargas. This sarga is one of them. Kashti sarga is one of them. Simply because it has some very nice things. No, after Bharata and Shatrugna emotionally poured, Rama also emotional. All those are over. Now Rama is asking some questions. That's what this, from now on, 100th sarga to 117th or 116th, I think. The 16 sargas is actually the conversation in many ways between the two brothers primarily. Others also join and support Bharata. Because they were all trying to persuade Rama to come back somehow. That is the rest of this Ayodhya Kanda, and how Rama handles that is so beautiful. Okay. So here, this is one of the most referenced sarga in Ramayana. So people, Yunat Yunam, they at least will try to understand what is there. Although in my opinion, the first sarga in Balaganda is very, very important, and like that there are sargas. But anyway, this is one. Rama asks over 70 questions to Bharata. The word Kaschit is invoked 72 times in the sarga. In one shloka, there are 4 Kaschit. Like that, there are 4 shlokas. There are 16 Kaschit in 4 shlokas alone. So Kaschit is, how is it? Or is it okay? Kya ho raha hai, no? Ye sab theek kya? You say that, no? That is the Kaschit actually. So Kaschit is invoked 72 times in the sarga. It is actually a masterpiece on governance, administration, and leadership. So beautifully questions are there, which pervade so beautifully on governance, administration, and leadership. These are the 3 major, and there are a few other major things, but these are the 3 major things. So it is Rajaniti, it is like a Lagu Chanakya Niti or something like that you can say. That kind of questions are asked. Okay. It actually displays the prowess and the administrative acumen of Rama. He was stunned by the questions that Rama is asking. It merely shows that his administrative prowess and his acumen for administration comes out like that. In other words, it is an intelligent method of actually teaching Bharata. The best thing is all these happening, at least you know, oh, these are the things I have to do now. That's another way to also look at it. I don't think it is required, but I am saying that it's a very intelligent method of teaching Bharata the art and science of governance under the guise of simple inquiry. So whichever way you want to look at it, we can look at it like that. Very good. Of course, first 10 shlokas he asked about the father first. About father and the mothers like that. Then from the 14th shloka onwards, basically all these start actually. So I put it into some format just to give a little sense of what can we expect out of this sarga. So the shlokas 9 to 13, there are issues like honoring and respecting great people. It's very, very important for a leader. You should respect and honor great people, which Modi nowadays exhibits a little bit. You know, it's very, very important that great people, not by wealth or power. Great people are great people, right? Etatra brahmana asam marshinaha yukta ayukta aluksha dharma kamasiho, like that. You should be able to find people who are beyond all these chapalata of life. They are the great people, and they have the wisdom. They are the perceptors. So first there are a few questions like that he asked. Then there are some shlokas which talks about the importance of wise counseling. For a leader, for a head of a family, for a leader, for a king. But all that, many of these will be applicable to every one of us. As a head of the family, we can use many of those. It's not only for a king. So the importance of wise counseling. Shloka 15, 16, 71 and 72, there are 4 shlokas which talks about the importance of counseling. Why it is very, very important for you to understand that things will work well only when you have wise counseling with you. That's the importance of secrecy for a king. So Shloka 18, 20 and 21 talks about those issues. Then keeping away from fools. There are 3 shlokas, 22, 23, 24. He says 1,000 fools will be of no use for you. There's a nice shloka like that. We'll see that. Then today we talk about, in modern management, we talk about competency mapping, job allocation. Beautifully he says, are you giving good job to people who are more competent, mediocre people, mediocre job, low level people, low level job? Simple one question he asks. In other words, in modern management parlance, we talk about competency mapping. That idea he brings. How do you do job allocation? That question was asked. Okay, that was, you see 25, 26, 38, 39. He says there are some useless Brahmins, don't get caught with them. They are good for nothing. I will bring that sloka. It's again a competency issue. He brings that. In fact, in Manusmriti, he says, Jati Matra Brahmanaha. 4 times he uses the Manusmriti. He says there are Upajivitaha. They are like a deer which is in a wooden. Like that, Manusmriti also says. He says, when somebody is to be like something, they have to be like that. Otherwise, there is no respect. 1,000 such Brahmins cannot make a parishad, cannot make a single rule. Manusmriti says. Jatimatra Brahmanaha, even 1,000 of them get together, they cannot make a single rule, they cannot form a parishad. So competency matters, we have always been constantly talking about all those issues. Then law, justice and punishment, there are some slokas. 27, 29, 56 to 59. He talks about some issues of law and justice and punishment and so on. Taxation, there is a 28th sloka where he talks about, he says, don't tax in such a way that people are so upset with you. He asks a question like that. There's one question on that also. Then treasury and management, 54 and 55, he talks about how is your treasury management and so on. Then army and defense, there are some shlokas, 30 to 33. Then there is a shloka 37, there is a shloka 53 in which all these issues come. Intelligence gathering, which is very, very important part of administration. The shloka 34, 35, 36, he talks about how do you have your people to do intelligence gathering, which are all very important elements of administration. To run a large enterprise also, you need these kinds of things. I remember, in Reliance, I used to do some work for them in 90s. So I went into the head of the polymer business, vice president. I was with him in his room. His room was this big actually. His vice president, his office room. In the wall opposite, there was a full-length chart, and in the full-length chart, all the petrochemical refineries in the world are mapped there. And I asked him, why do you need this? He says, sir, I will know which refinery will be shutting down for, because they do this preventive maintenance shutting down, they do for sometimes a month. If I know it, I know what will happen to the price of my product. It's called intelligence gathering. They were very good. Complete, sir, this room, nobody can come. You are a professor and you are doing some work for us. Complete mapping of the refineries in the world. And what is happening to them is available in his office. Huh? No, in the maker chamber, in their this thing. So what I am saying, this is a very, very important element of good this thing also. So intelligence gathering, marks of a great city. We talk about smart city. You should look at the shlokas 40, 41, 42. He brings issues of some cities. How should the city be? So marks of a great city. Then urban development and quality of life, I find shlokas. 43, 44, 45, 46 talks about urban development. He says, talks about how Ayodhya should be. Is Ayodhya like this? And I see elements of urban development there when he talks about Ayodhya. Because if you remember, I showed you Ayodhya as it was described in Balakanda is bigger than Boston today. The yojanas are there, we calculated. We found that it was some 5,000 square kilometers or something. By that 12 yojanas by 8 yojanas, something we actually saw. So urban development and quality of life. Business development, economic growth. Because he talks about cattle growing, that's the business development, economic growth at that time. He talks about economic growth also, 47 to 50. Then a leader must be accessible to citizens. You cannot be very aloof. If you are very aloof, your leadership will become less effective. So the accessibility to citizens, he talks about in 2 slokas, 51 to 52. making oneself very valuable. How do you make? You have to be very valuable. Then only you get the credibility of your position. So there are a couple of slokas on that, 60 and 61. Importance of Purusharthas, 62 and 63. Then 14 traps of a king. Very nice sloka. There are the next sloka, 62 to 67 are beautiful slokas. There are 14 traps he mentions. He says, don't get trapped in any of these. That is the shloka, 65 to 67. Then followed by saying, there are 20 attributes of these, 10 of these, 5 of it, 8 of it, 3 of it. Did you see all that? These are attributes of a successful king. So between the two, there is a lot of message available for a king to be. In those 65 to 17, 5 shlokas, 6 shlokas, all these ideas are there. And then there are a few other ideas are also there. Some miscellaneous ideas are there, which are all walking the path of your ancestors. 74th shloka. Are you following the path of our ancestors? Like that he is asking. The most modern management theory talks about what is called path dependence. It says you can only walk the path that you have walked. Only then you will succeed. Gary Hamel, Prahlad, all these core competence theories are all coming from there actually. Path dependence. So he says, are you following the path of your ancestors? 73rd or 7th shloka. This is what makes this. So actually, it is a very rich repository. Coming to think of it, so many things are being discussed here, but they're very samkshepa. So one needs to interpret it, one needs to take the clue from there and understand. That's why this sarga is a very nice sarga.